You're listening to As I Was Saying. I'm April Simpkins, and each episode we unpack what's quietly messing with your mental health at work and how to take your peace back without quitting everything. This podcast is for you if just pushing through is wrecking your peace. I'm breaking down the stuff we all deal with and giving you tools to actually do something about it. Hey there, it's April, and welcome back to As I Was Saying, the podcast where we peel back the polite, sanitized version of work life and talk about what it's really like trying to stay sane while making a living. Today, we're talking about remote work. Yes, the great pajama revolution, where the morning commute is from your bed to your kitchen to the couch or maybe your makeshift home office, where meetings require professional tops and, let's be honest, possibly pajama bottoms. But here's the kicker. Despite the hype, remote work is quietly wrecking some people's mental health. And no, I'm not just talking about the heartbreak of weak Wi-Fi or trying to explain to your dog why you can't play fetch during your 3 p.m. Zoom. No. Let me hit you with a stat you might not know. According to Gallup, while remote employees are more engaged, they also report higher levels of stress and loneliness than their in-office counterparts. And 45% of fully remote workers said they felt stressed just yesterday. Compare that to about 38% of on-site workers. So yes, you can be productive and miserable at the same time. Let's dive in to 5 ways remote work is quietly gnawing at our mental health. And more importantly, what we can do about it before our home office becomes our padded room. So, number 1, isolation and loneliness. Remember when you used to groan about office small talk in the break room? Yeah, it turns out Karen's detailed description of her weekend plans might have been your last thread of human connection. Remote workers are up to 1.6 times more likely to feel isolated. And that isolation, it's not just a bad mood. It's a mental health risk factor that's linked to depression, anxiety, and reduced life satisfaction. What can we do? Well, for leaders, create space for casual conversation. Schedule like a 10-minute virtual coffee break once a week. And employees don't skip the Zoom social. I know. Sometimes interaction is like kale, annoying but necessary. But it's critical to not feeling isolated. Every conversation does not have to be about the current project or next week's report schedule. Second, blurred boundaries and digital presenteeism. Remote work often feels like living at work instead of working from home. And your kitchen table is now mission control, and you answer emails at 10 p.m. because, well, the laptop is right there. Something I thought was very interesting is Shonda Rhimes, and I'm a huge Shonda Rhimes fan. I mean, Scandal, Grey's Anatomy. I digress. She has an amazing company called Shondaland, and she famously put in the email signature that goes out to everyone that she does not respond to emails after 7 p.m. or on weekends. And if you work for her, please put your phone down. That is setting a boundary, and it's so important. 33% of remote employees report feeling always on. And that's not hustle culture. That's burnout with better branding. So fix it fast. Leaders, learn to respect digital boundaries. If you send a late night email, mark it no reply needed until morning, unless it's a true, legitimate, bona fide emergency. You can also, depending on your email platform software, schedule the email to go out in the morning. That might be easier for an employee who is awakened by notifications. Employees, build a fake commute. I know that sounds kind of funny and silly, but it really does help you start and stop your day. Walk around the block before or after your workday. Trick your brain into clocking in and clocking out. Third, Zoom fatigue and tech overload. Honestly, if one more person says, "You're on mute," I might develop like a facial tic. Zoom fatigue is a real thing. All those virtual meetings, they require more focus because our brains are working overtime to make up for the missing in-person cues. And don't get me started on the stress of missing the meeting after the meeting. If you know, you know. Also, there's a real such thing as tech stack sprawl. Slack, Teams, Zoom, Asana, email, text. It's like whack-a-mole with notifications. So here's some things you can do around that. For leaders, audit the number of meetings. If it could be a Slack message or an email, let it be. If you are scheduling a Zoom or Teams call and you are the only person who's going to be talking and it does not require input and feedback, that can be an email. If it does not require collaboration, input, mutual delivery of information, it can be an email. And by the same token, if you need to collaborate or gather information from the team, don't send an email with everybody replying all and ending up with 15 emails that have the same subject line. That should have been a meeting. You get where I'm going with this. Employees, block focus time on your calendar and defend it like your Wi-Fi signal. So if there is time on your calendar from 3 to 4:30, block that off and use that to just focus on a specific task. Next, fourth, career invisibility. Out of sight, out of mind. And remote employees are less likely to get promoted and more likely to feel like they're talking to the void. You miss out on hallway praise or chance mentorship. And yes, sometimes office gossip. You know, when the boss walks by and he or she looks a little perturbed and somebody says to you, "Now is not the time to approach them about that request you had," you know, that kind of gossip. Leaders, be intentional. This helps. Spotlight remote wins during team meetings. Remote culture is not the same as in-office culture. Remote culture requires a higher level of intention. So make sure that you make room to spotlight those remote wins during your group meetings. And employees, document your value. Brag, but make it look humble. I often encourage employers to get a self-evaluation before a performance evaluation so that you can blend the two. And in that self-evaluation, which for many employees should almost be a running document, not where you're writing down the things you should be doing, but where you are writing down your wins. You are writing down and documenting the times that you go above and beyond expectation. And that's not working through the night. That's not a bragging right. You need your sleep. I'm talking about a client who perhaps bought a little extra because you recommended it, or that, you know, client testimonial that says you really gave them the satisfaction they were hoping for in a difficult situation. Or maybe you mentored a fellow employee through a project. Whatever that is, write that down. So when performance evaluation time comes, or when you're talking to your boss or supervisor, you can mention some of those ways that you have been a true asset to the team. And my fifth tip, physical strain and mental drain. Let's talk ergonomics. Working from a dining room chair or worse, your bed, your back is screaming and it's dragging your mental health with it. Chronic pain increases stress and lowers mood. Some studies even show that those with untreated ergonomic strain are 3 times more likely to report depressive symptoms. So what can we do about that? Well, invest in a good chair. Your spine deserves it. honestly, an employer should be providing a chair or at least a stipend that would go towards getting a good chair for you to sit in so you don't end up with pain caused by your chair that you have at home. For employees, when you are working remotely, taking care of your physical health, which is directly tied to our mental health, becomes more critical. There are a million trainers on YouTube. You can type in on YouTube 5 exercises I can do while seated and roll that into your schedule. Maybe you put in an extra 10 minutes in the afternoon to just do some stretching right there in your chair because you watched it on YouTube and picked up a few tips. So I'm going to end with some great takeaways. For leaders, build in social structure. Give people permission to connect without a spreadsheet involved. One employer that I'm familiar with developed 30-minute virtual coffee chats at designated times throughout the month. And any employee could randomly show up and be placed into small groups to discuss some pre-selected topics. Think TV series like Game of Thrones fans, cooking, sports, you name it. We can create a little group, title it that, and you can join that through a group in perhaps a Zoom call. The neat thing about that is, much like an employee resource group, you are able to connect with someone around shared purpose. Perhaps it is the playoffs for basketball and you're working virtually and you don't really have anybody to talk about that. How cool would it be to join the coffee chat and be able to chat with people who also want to talk about basketball? It's a great option. For employees, set up a shutdown ritual. End your day like Shonda Rhimes. Close that laptop, turn off the notifications, change your socks, whatever signals. You can start playing a "We're Done Here" song during your pack up. Are you old enough to remember the Carol Burnett show? And at the end of the show, she would start singing. I won't sing, but she would start singing, "I'm so glad we had this time together," just to laugh a while or sing a song. Yeah, like that. So create your end of day ritual, maybe with a song helping you pack up, and then stick to it. And here's the takeaway for everyone. Check in with yourself and with others. Ask, how's your brain today? And actually wait for an answer. Remote work is here to stay in one form or another. It requires mutual flexibility and structure, because flexibility without structure is chaos, just like independence without support is loneliness. If today hit a little too close to home, you're not alone. So I want to share a few resources that you can reach out to, especially if you're a remote worker and you find yourself struggling a little bit with your mental health. There's the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI. You can find them at nami.org. There's a 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can text, call, or chat 988. There's apps like Headspace and Calm, which gives you guided meditation and sleep help and more. And for some, with your employer, there may be an EAP, or an employee assistance program. And if you have one, use it. It's not just for crisis. Well, thank you for joining me. That's it for this episode of As I Was Saying. Remote work isn't the villain, but let's not pretend it's all banana bread and better focus. If you felt seen today, share this with someone still working from their couch with a stiff neck and a stressed heart. Until next time, take care of your mind and your spine. Thanks for tuning in to As I Was Saying. If today's episode on remote work hit close to home, see what I did there? Then please send the podcast link to a friend or coworker. And remember to subscribe, like, and share so others can hear this message and be inspired. Our next episode is all about advocating for yourself at work because, and let's say it together, HR is not your therapist. This is As I Was Saying with April Simpkins. Be well.